After the absolute peak that was Young Justice Season 1, following up that level of quality with Season 2 must have been a Herculean task. And while Season 2 hit the mark on many fronts, there is one glaring problem that we're going to be talking about today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Thomas.
I'm Merlin.
Together we're the Comic Lads, and today we are talking about the problem with Young Justice Season 2. Everyone just exploded.
Everyone clicked off the video. Our viewer rate just dropped by 80%. This season is still great.
I would still call this like peak superhero cartoons.
Yes, but there are certain elements to do with this season that are kind of like the catalyst to why we feel later seasons fell a bit flat.
Yeah, it's definitely like the start of the scuffening of the show.
Like cracks were made in the foundation during this season.
Absolutely.
Guys, before we get into it, we want to hear your thoughts and question of the week. Please tell us what you think of Young Justice Season 2. You know, there's a huge cult following out there for Young Justice. We are definitely amongst that community.
Absolutely. We're drinking that Kool-Aid since 2010. And be sure to like the video. Really helps us out. And subscribe if you have not already. Become one with the comic team.
The young comic lad, but the Young Justice lads.
Lad Justice.
Lad Justice.
And be sure to click the notification bell so you can get notified for all our future uploads.
So I think let's just talk about what our big issue is with the show. You know, we're going to talk about a lot of the pros. This is an overall retrospective video on Season 2. But the biggest problem going in Season 2, it's immediate within the first episode.
Within the first cold open, it's like, boom, 5 years later.
It's painful.
It's brutal because, like, it's just such a tough pill to swallow because you get so attached to these characters at this young age, especially when the show was coming out. We were at that same age, you know, and relating to them, and then they were all like 18, 19, 20 years old.
You know, Season 1 was so great, and what was so great about it, in our opinion, and what we highlighted in our first retrospective video, was that all these characters start off the show, and they were able to grow throughout.
And breathe,
but we didn't see the full transformation of them.
Yeah.
You would just see little hints, like when Dick would talk to Black Canary and he'd be like, I don't know if I want to be Batman. You know, I always thought that was what my destiny was, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, the show's like, yeah, because he's Nightwing.
Exactly. And they just throw that on you without getting that really satisfying evolution from Dick to Nightwing.
And we're talking about, quote unquote, the problem with Young Justice Season 2. And it's really just a problem because there was not enough of the show. We just had to end it. That's the hardest thing about watching Season 2, because it is expertly put together and it's, in my opinion, expertly ended. It just should not have had to be saddled with ending the show in the second season.
Yeah, if the show wasn't going to end, I feel like the creators wouldn't have made that decision, but they were like, we need to give a satisfying, well-rounded conclusion to the show for the fans.
Agreed. And, you know, just going back to the time jump and how it affects future seasons, it starts this trend of every subsequent season having to have some sort of time jump.
It's also a bit annoying because we're going to get into retrospectives for the other seasons following this video, but by the end of it, it's like, can you even call it Young Justice? They're all in like their mid-20s.
Yeah, and then by the time you get to the end of the show, we're really skipping a lot of stuff here, but like we've introduced like at least 10 new characters to the team every season, and I'm just like, where are my OGs?
Yeah, that's a great point. Like Season 1, you know, it was such a tight-knit family.
Yeah.
It was like 5-6 characters,
and we added 2 by the end. You know, we got like Rocket and Zatanna at the end.
Yeah, and the show was really like, it was 26 episodes, Season 1.
Yeah.
26 episodes with this tight-knit group. You got to see how their friendship evolved, how it transformed over time, how they went from just these sidekicks to
superheroes in their own right.
Exactly.
And how they built, you know, interpersonal relationships and started romances.
And this is why we are going to keep going back to the theme of this video, which is Season 2 isn't bad.
Not at all.
But it began the cracks of what we feel made Young Justice lose its full potential in subsequent seasons.
Agreed.
Which is the time jump and then having all of these extra characters that like are great characters,
yeah,
but we seem to lose focus on the core team team at hand that we fell in love with originally.
We do, and there's so many new characters that we don't even get much focus on some of the new characters, you know? Tim Drake Robin gets introduced, and he's it's got like 6 lines.
It's true, huh?
Like 7 fucking lines.
I know. And that's the thing, is that you always see these little plots that are hinted at in the background of each episode and the overall story, but you never get to fully dive deep into them with these new characters.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about off camera, but I was always really curious what the deal was with Tim Drake and Wonder Girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you get hints that there's like drama with them off screen and that their like relationship is in turmoil, but it's like, why do I care? I don't get to see them actually be together and be happy and how their relationship was built. But it's not just Nightwing and this new introduction. A lot of the storyline revolves around this 5-year time jump.
Yes.
At the end of season 1, if you guys saw our first video, we dived into how the Justice League was mind controlled by the light.
6 of the Justice Leaguers went missing for an undocumented 16 hours when they were mind controlled, and then you get this tagline of Batman being like,
16 hours. What did we do?
But that is one cool thing going into season 2 is the conspiracy and, you know, the team, not just Young Justice, but also the Justice League are really concerned about what they did. And in some ways, the 5-year time jump, it works. It works in that way because by that point, they were like, well, whatever we did 5 years, it's like, it couldn't have been that bad if nothing hugely consequential has happened in that time.
Yeah, and then you learn that actually the Justice League is persona non grata throughout the entire galaxy and is like wanted. They're like, oh shit, it's the missing 16 hours.
While they were mind controlled, they like wreaked havoc.
Yeah, they went to this planet called Rimbor and like raised it.
Yeah. And there's a funny plot line here where they're actually taken and like tried on like an alien courtroom. And I think that's just a way for the writers to like get the Justice League out so Young Justice can be like the sole protectors of Earth.
And it works. And you know what? It adds weight to the story and stress onto our main characters.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they have to be the Justice League now. Like Superboy has to dress up in a Superman suit and like fly up above the UN and appear as Superman. You know, it's like they need to keep up appearances too.
Yeah, that's a really cool part of it. So we talked a bit about Dick Grayson, who once again, we would have liked to see come into his own as Nightwing and see that actual final evolution.
Yeah. We just skipped him being like King Chad.
Yeah, but there is a really interesting plotline introduced with Aqualad in this time jump.
Yeah, so for the first 3 episodes of season 2, you get no Aqualad, and you're like, where's my boy? He was the coolest one from season 1. And
also the leader of the team.
Yes, and you're like, why is Dick... I mean, I get why Dick's the leader, but where's Aqualad? And he comes out in a fucking Black Manta suit and is a bad guy now. And you're like, okay.
This is cool.
Okay,
yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, he comes out and it's revealed that he's actually the son of Black Manta.
And I think it ties in to like the Young Justice video game that was like on the Wii.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because like when evil Aqualad confronts the team, they're like, well, how could you do this? Like you were one of us. And he's like you guys let Tula die. And like that was his girl from season 1. And I was like, when did Tula die? And I looked up and it happens in like the fucking Wii tie-in game.
So again, they leave a bit up to like imagination for the viewer.
For sure.
For better or for worse, it depends how that floats your boat.
Yeah.
But it is cool seeing how Calderon is now pitted against the team.
Absolutely. But obviously, not everything is as it seems. They're not just gonna like take the best character and make him an asshole. It is actually part of this greater conspiracy between Aqualad and Nightwing. They're the only 2 people that know that Aqualad is actually a double agent infiltrating Black Manta's crew for the team.
Yeah, to infiltrate the light. So that is kind of fun to see Dick trying to hide this conspiracy from the rest of the team.
And it creates like a lot of distrust between him and the other senior members of the team, because it's like, really, you couldn't tell like Connor and like fucking McGann?
Agreed. So that creates some tension within the original team dynamic.
Yeah.
There is another plot point introduced here where we find out at the start of the season that Kid Flash and Artemis are actually retired.
Yeah, and you're like, damn, they're happy. That's sick.
It's sick, but again, like, I would have loved if by the end of season 2, that's what happened. happen with them. And you get to see that evolution where they realize, like, all this stuff is important, but we're going to put our love and a relationship first and foremost. Because in season 1, you see Kid Flash, and he's like the flirt of the group, just like always calling every girl babe and like hitting on everyone. But by the end of it, you realize that he's actually just like, you know, wants to be loved. And and you see this, like, the start of this relationship with him and Artemis.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, the issue of season 2 comes in again, where like we're just completely 180ing every character after the 5-year time jump.
But again, you jump into season 2, they're retired, they're in a loving, committed relationship, they're living together.
Yep, and all that gets upended when she rejoins the team at Nightwing's request and fucking dies on a mission.
Yeah, she gets killed by Aqualad, and this is of course to stage the fact that he's fully committed to the light.
Yeah.
Because of this whole conspiracy being hidden from the original team, Kid Flash is like so distraught that his girl was just like taken out of retirement and put in this super, super dangerous situation.
Yeah, because like they fake her death, and the next step of the plan is to give her this glamour charm from Zatanna that'll change her appearance so that she can become Tigress, a new character, and infiltrate the light with Aqualad as his like right-hand woman.
Yeah, and it is fun to see her as Tigress and Aqualad kind of outmaneuver the light and try to keep the secret hidden from them.
But yeah, that's what's going on with those characters for the season. Our other 2 remaining characters, Superboy and Miss Martian, are in kind of like an Atlantean cuckery plot.
Oh god. Dude, Lagoon Boy fucking sucks. It's like so cringy. You know that, like, those memes, like that one couple at school?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my butterfly. What does he call her?
Angelfish.
Oh my god. Like the emo couple, you know what I mean? You start like growling at each other and shit. Oh god.
So we open the season and we're expecting like to see our favorite couple from last season, Superboy and Miss Martian, and they're not speaking to each other, and then she starts making out with Lagoon Boy.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck are you guys doing to me?
I know. I do really like the reasoning as to why they've broken up, though.
Yes.
It's a really good, deep plot line.
And really dark and hurtful.
So it's revealed that in the 5 years since season 1, they actually got into a fight. And during this fight, Miss Martian ends up going into Superboy's mind and making him forget that he's mad at her.
Yeah, which is like such a supreme fucking violation.
It is.
Especially in Superboy's words, because like their original connection was not even physical, it was mental.
Yeah,
and she went in there and like perverted that touch between them.
And it also cuts even deeper because Superboy, coming from a genetically grown test tube,
yeah,
you know what I mean, who's had his mind tinkered with since his first inception as this Cadmus experiment, that cuts really deep with him because that's already happened to him and it was a huge violation of his autonomy. And suddenly she's going in, this person that he trusts the most in the world, and just like fucks with him.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, Connor, I told you I'm so sorry about that. And you're like, that's not enough.
I know.
Ew.
I know. Maybe turn into Black Canary again and we can talk. No, sorry. Yeah, there is some good relationship drama there, and you do get the sense that she's kind of with Lagoon Boy. Like, it's not outright stated, but she's kind of with him just to to fuck with Connor.
Really just to spite Connor 100%.
Yeah. I do think there's another huge part of the season that we have to talk about.
Is it the villain plot that we haven't even gotten into yet?
It's the villain plot, and specifically the Reach.
Yes.
So the Reach, while the Justice League are off-world, battling this like intergalactic criminal case for their freedom, there's this villain that's introduced called the Reach, which
they're an extraterrestrial race that are the progenitors of Blue Beetle's Scarab. So Blue Beetle's another new character introduced this season, one of the best.
Oh, a great addition to the show.
Incredible. Kind of like steals a lot of the season.
I think a lot of the season actually revolves around him for the most part.
It does, yeah.
While all this other stuff is going on with the original Young Justice group infiltrating the light, it's almost like the Reach is taking more precedent because the world is about to end.
Yes.
And all this stuff with the light and Calderon and Artemis infiltrating that organization is kind of based in conspiracy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And taking out a bigger threat working behind the scenes. But meanwhile, there's a fucking mothership in the sky that's like waiting to dominate humanity.
They're also being weird and conspiratorial because they're posing as like benevolent friends from, you know, like they're our neighbors from outer space and they just want to help us and like give us resources and work with us to make the planet better, but actually they're trying to enslave us.
Yeah, they've been capturing runaway kids that have the metagene within them and essentially torturing them, kind of Deadpool X-Men style.
Literally, yeah.
To get their metagenes to activate and have their powers emerge.
And one of them,
we get Static.
yes.
Okay, we made a video a few weeks ago where we accidentally called Static Shock.
Guys, I'm sorry, man. I grew up with the cartoon.
I know.
Leave me alone.
Give us a break.
Literally, the fucking theme song ends and they go,
I just had to get that. I've been like, that's been bubbling inside of me for the last few weeks. But we get him introduced, and he is such a cool character.
yes, and I'm so happy he was introduced in the show. Unfortunately, gets sidelined in later seasons, but I'll get into that.
God, yeah.
We'll get into that later. And the whole reason we get Static and his group of metahuman friends getting powers is because Vandal Savage, and by extension the Light, want to increase the metahuman population on Earth.
Yeah.
For a reason which we will talk about at the end of the video.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, the Light's relationship with the Reach, because they're allies at different points in the show, but also double-cross each other.
Yeah, you know, like, from the jump, they're, like, both trying to fuck each other over.
Yeah, but there's yet another plot point introduced here that I think is really cool, involving Bart Allen.
Impulse.
Impulse.
One of the coolest characters introduced in this whole show. Might be my favorite version of Bart.
And he is the grandson of Barry Allen, sent back from the future to stop an impending doom. That is kind of another layer of conspiracy added to the season.
Yes, and it's revealed that we get little bits and pieces of Kid Flash's, you know, alternate bad future that he's coming from, where the Reach has taken control of Blue Beetle in the future completely and made him into like a conquering like tyrant.
That adds a really great element to this show too, because Jaime Reyes, who's the Blue Beetle, gets the Scarab in the season, becomes good friends with Impulse.
Yeah.
Bart Allen.
That's like, it's so awesome because like Impulse's job is to come back in time and stop Blue Beetle from going evil. And the way he does that is by becoming his best friend. And I'm like, that's
such a Flash thing to do.
So
you know what I mean?
Superhero, you know?
I
It's
know.
so good.
I know. And I love Impulse as a character. We made a video a few weeks ago talking about our favorite Flashes.
Yeah.
And ranking them in the order from worst to best, even though there's not really any worst.
No, definitely not.
And one thing that's great about Impulse is, like his namesake, he's very hyperactive and impulsive.
Yeah.
But I love when they characterize him as being a lot deeper than that and being sent back for a specific reason and a big responsibility that's been thrust upon him.
Yeah, like when you see him in the future before he comes back, he's stoic and serious and jaded, and he's like, all right, time to get into character. And then when he comes back, he's like, oh, I'm Impulse, you know, and he's like happy, but you know that like he's seen some shit.
Yeah, and like everyone he knows and love has been enslaved or killed.
Like incinerated.
Yeah. And so but even despite that, it's really heartwarming to see him becoming good friends with Jaime Reyes, and they kind of become the stars of the season in a lot of ways.
They do. They do. You see him become a member of the Flash family too.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really, really great.
So ultimately, you know, we talked about Aqualad and his conspiracy plot trying to destroy the light from within as Black Manta's son. And ultimately, the way he does that is by making the light and the Reach kind of double cross each other, and he makes their relationship like implode from within.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, you get to see these double crossings from each other, and like seeing the Reach. I don't remember his name, but there's like the kind of head of the Reach, like the ambassador.
Ambassador, yeah, it's Ambassador.
Wait, his name is actually just Ambassador?
It's literally Ambassador.
Oh my god.
Oh, and he calls like his girl scientist, like he's just like scientist. Yeah, no, look, scientist.
Oh my god. Seeing that like smug alien face getting taken down is like one of the greatest things in animated superhero television.
It's incredible, yeah. And like Aqualad reveals all of the lights and the Reach's secrets to each other, making them attack each other and basically making the light crumble.
Yeah.
Finally. They finally defeat the light, and it's such a triumph. And honestly, like, it feels like it's been more than just 2 seasons. It feels like a journey has come to a close. But obviously the Reach are salty that they have to leave the planet planet now, and they've left, like, I don't even know what to call them, these, like, world-ending, like, bombs all over the Earth.
Yeah, just a generic superhero world-ending threat.
Yeah. There's, like, 20 bombs, and they have, like, 40 heroes.
Yeah.
And they send 2 heroes each. One of the groups they send is Flash and Kid Flash.
And Impulse.
Oh, yeah, and Impulse. And Wally fucking dies.
He dies, and, like, look, we talked about him in our first season retrospective. Arguably the best character on the team.
Honestly, yeah.
The heart and soul of season 1. What a fucking great character, man. And he just dissolves into this world-ending threat.
Yeah, they give him, you know, Barry's ending from Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he runs so fast to save everyone, and he just dissipates.
Yeah, but the problem is in that moment, he's actually running too slow compared to the other Flashes.
That's true.
But they still need his momentum, so even though he's running slower than them to disarm this bomb, he stays in that circle and sacrifices himself with his kinetic energy. And it's just like, oh my god. And you finish the show going, okay, well, no one in superhero shows, you know, dies forever.
Yeah, we'll get him back, right? And then the show was canceled.
Yeah. And then you get one season, you're like, okay, you know, they probably needed one season to just, you know, make his death meaningful and not go back on what they did.
Yeah.
And you get another season.
Yeah, you're talking about season 4.
Yeah, and you're like, where is he?
He never comes back.
He never comes back. This is the last time we see him, and it's a heartbreaking moment, not just for the viewers, but of course the characters, having an actual real loss on the team that we can see. Because we know another con of this time jump is that we know other teammates of the Young Justice team have died in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, you see a statue of Jason Todd.
Yeah, you see Tula, Aqualad's girl.
But this is the first time you get to see one of the characters that you've been following die.
And it blows even more when you realize that, oh, they just never did anything with that ever. Oh, and then spoilers, guys, for season 3 or whatever, fucking Artemis, like, makes out with Roy.
Oh my god.
You.
Dude, I cannot wait to get into those later seasons because it is one of the most revolting on-screen romances, just for the sole fact that, like, no one will ever touch the heights that Wally achieved.
It makes me sick to my stomach.
Let us know if you guys want to see that season 3 retrospective.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't, we're gonna bring it to you one day.
We are gonna bring it to you.
I do want to mention something that we haven't brought up yet.
Sure.
Which is, once again, like season 1, the animation and specifically fight scenes
Stellar.
are insane.
Insane. I'm thinking right off the bat when you mentioned that, I'm thinking of the episode where the original Roy Harper wakes up and becomes Arsenal and takes on LexCorp.
Oh my god.
Peak.
That shit is so good.
It's so fucking
It's
sick.
so good. And I also think when I think of the animation, the season, and the fight scenes, a character on the Reach called Black Beetle, who's like one of the muscle cronies for the organization. The fights between him and Jaime are just like so brutal and so good. Oh, the show's so good.
Do you remember when he is holding Wonder Girl and he just slams her head into the wall like 20 times?
No, he's a savage.
It's awful.
It's awesome though too. I love it.
So dark.
I mean, overall, like, I still love season 2.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I just wish, like, oh my god, I wish that we could have seen the evolution of the original teammates. And, you know, season 2, the plot of it almost feels like it could have been a season 3 thing.
Yeah, season 3 like, or 4.
Yeah.
You know?
I just want to see Dick become Nightwing, dog. Like,
I know, man.
it really pains me that we don't see that evolution. He goes from a 13-year-old straight to an 18-year-old leading the team.
Yeah, he goes from like little kid to fucking Giga Chad.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's, once again, there's a lot great with this season, like we've gone into, but
There's so much we haven't talked about that's like also amazing.
Yeah.
Like so many characters we couldn't get into because it's just there's too many.
I know.
Too much shit in the season.
We're gonna have some comments being like, how the fuck did you forget to talk about this? Oh my god. Talk about Lobo. I don't know. If you guys think we missed something, let us know.
Yeah.
This is just our overall broad strokes, what we liked and disliked about season 2. If season 1 was a 10, which it is,
This is like a 9, like maybe a 9.5 for me.
season 2?
It's so good. It's just like it's this personal thing I have with it.
Yeah.
That just kills me.
And like we said, that one element, along with the introducing of just character after character after character,
Yeah.
bloats the show and future seasons.
It does. Yeah, I'll say a 9.
I was gonna say a 9 too.
It's a 9 for me.
Let us know what your guys' rating is of Young Justice Season 2. Do you agree with our takes? Do you wish that we got to see the team grow within those 5 years? Or do you like the time jump? Because, like we said, there are pros and cons with it.
Because objectively, it works really well. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already.
Turn the notification bells on so you don't miss any future videos. And we love you.
We love you so, so much.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.